Hi and welcome back. We've made really good progress. We've been able to look at how to create different types of visuals. In this video, we're going to be looking at some other options that exist in our visualization pane. We're going to be looking at how to do small multiples, what they are. We're going to be looking at tooltips and how to add more insights to our visuals using tooltips. Before we go into that, I would like us to bring our side pane to this particular page. So I'm going to move my face. In our first page, we had created some filters, and I would like them to be available on this page as well. So what I'm going to do is just copy everything we have here. So I'm going to click on each of these elements and hold Shift and just click on the remaining shift and I'm also going to copy the white rectangle, so shift and select, and I'll do Control C, and we're going to the second page and we're just going to paste it right there. So I'm going to do Control V, the second page. It's asking me one or more copied visuals can stay in sync with the visuals it was copied from. So basically I want to sync all these visuals with what was on the previous page, meaning if I effect a filter here, it's also affected in the second page. I'm going to sync it if I want to. I think I want to, so I synced it. It's encroaching on this visual, so I'm going to just move it a bit just so we have enough room. So yeah, so I believe we're good. Let's see if we can filter and see if it works. Let's filter for dates. Let's filter for just 2020, January 2020 to. So yeah, so filters, it works for everything. All right, great. So we want to talk about small multiples and tooltips in this video. That's our aim for this video. So to explain small multiples, I'm going to create a new visual, and let's go to a new page and just create a new visual. Usually small multiples will work most with line charts and column charts and stacked bar chart, I believe. So let's create a line chart. Or you know what, let's copy one that we have before. Let's copy this. Let's use a column chart, quantity sold per subcategory. I'm just going to copy this, and the aim is just to teach small multiples. And I'm going to paste it right here and enlarge it so it's quite bigger. Now in your visualization, in your fields pane, we have legends. And basically, if you want to, legends basically allow you to, create different compartments based on a certain entity. So for example, if I drag in, I'm seeing my total quantity sold per subcategory. But if I bring in continent into legend, it's going to break down this quantity sold into the different continents. So I can see that's broken down my total revenue for example, jerseys into different continents. So I can see for Europe, this is my 6260. For North America, for Pacific, it has broken them down into those um, components, and that's basically what legends do. It allows us to split a metric by a certain entity. Now let's go to small multiples. Small multiples does a similar thing, but it sort of creates separate charts for each entity. So for example, when we put this entity continent in legend, we're still on the same chart, the same axis, only we have separate bars in that chart for different continents. If I drag continent to small multiples instead, it's going to create three different charts. So one chart for Europe, one chart for North America, one chart for Pacific, showing us the quantity sold per subcategory in that um, continent. If we remove continent from small multiples and do age group instead, um, age group instead and bring it to small multiples. We have for the different age groups, we have all the quantity sold per subcategory. And I can see how in different age groups, um, how much we're selling in different subcategories in different age groups. You could also still apply legends to this, right? And it will still further split it. So I can apply legends to say which continent the legends, and I'm applying small multiples, and um, I'm breaking down by by age group and continent. So that's basically what legends and small multiples do for you. They allow you break down your metric by a certain with a certain entity, right? Um, Pro tip here: you do not want to break down your metric, or you do not want to use a field that has plenty distinct values. For example, I'm using continent because it has about just three values: Europe, North America, Pacific, and it's easy to see, it's easy on the eyes. I'm using age group because it has four values, right? It would be very, very, I don't want to say bad, but it will make your work look messy if I brought in something like products. I think we have a lot of products. So if I brought in something like products name into legends, for example, now you see we have a whole lot of product name, and our chart doesn't make sense anymore. Right? If I drag product name to small multiples, it may make sense, but I would have to do a lot of uh, dragging. So it will be an undo bar that would allow me. So basically I can't see everything in one view, and it doesn't make sense. So you want to just keep it to entities that have just very few um, distinct values. So that's small multiples. Now let's talk about tooltips. Now, what are tooltips? I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete this page entirely. I don't think we need this page. Delete. Let's go to our first page. What are tooltips? Tooltips basically is a feature in your chart that gives you more information about your data than what is on the chart. So, for example, this chart here, the chart below, currently shows daily revenue, meaning for each day, how much revenue did we make every day. And by default, that revenue value is also put in the tooltip. So if I click on a point, you see it gives me the date, March 1, 2020, and it gives me the revenue for that day by default. And that's because what I'm viewing on my chart is revenue. Well, I may want to see other things aside revenue in my chart. I can always add them to the tooltips. And how do I do that? There's also a pane for tooltips. So currently we are seeing only revenue, date, and revenue. If I wanted to see quantity sold as well, for example, I can drag quantity sold to the tooltips pane here. And now if I over on a point, I can see revenue and I can see quantity sold for that day. Even though on the chart, what I'm visualizing is just revenue. I can see revenue, I can see quantity sold for that day. I could do more than that. I could see average. So let's see average revenue too. So I could drag revenue still there. And instead of doing sum, if I click on that drop down, I can select average. So average revenue, I can see total revenue, which is 412,000. Quantity sold, 38.59, and um, average revenue, $1,431. Now, basically, these are tooltips. It gives us more information other than what is on our visualization. Now, we can also make, instead of having just text, okay, before we go into that, our tooltip doesn't really look nice. I'm saying sum of revenue, sum of quantity, so the average of revenue. I mean, it makes sense, but um, semantically it doesn't really make sense. So I'm going to change that. For sum of revenue, I'm going to call it, double click on this. I'm going to call it revenue generated USD. right? So if I press enter, if I come to my tooltip, you can see it's revenue generated USD. It makes more sense. For sum of quantity sold, I just double click on it and do quantity sold. So that's quantity, so it makes sense. Average of revenue, we just double click and call that average revenue. Average revenue in USD. And I have that. So now my data looks a bit cleaner. So it's not showing sum of revenue or whatever. It's showing average revenue, quantity sold, uh, revenue generated. So that's tooltip, but this is basic tooltip. Not really basic, right? It's it's not really basic. But again, those are tooltips. But we can actually do something more advanced. And basically, this is us actually using a chart or a visual as a tooltip. And I'll show us how to do that. How do you do that? Let's create a new page. And let's format that page. So when you go to formatting that page, the new page, and let's call this page tooltip. Tooltip. Right. So when you go to formatting that page, under page information, there's an option to allow use as tooltip. If you click on, now you can allow this page to be used as a tooltip. Now, the default size is, if you go to canvas settings, the tooltip size, the default size is the tooltip size, but you can always change it to say a custom, let's do 4x3. Now, we start putting visuals that we want to show in our tooltip. So for example, currently on this dashboard, I'm looking at daily revenue generated, but I want to also know, right, if I hover on a point, I want to know what country that revenue was generated. I want to know, so let's start with the country the revenue was generated. So I want to put in a bar chart that's going to show me the country. So in a bar chart, let's do something like this. And I want to see country. Where would I find that? I'll find that in my region table. Where's my region table? So I'm going to bring country to my x-axis, and I want to bring revenue to my y-axis. Right, so I can see revenue per country. So I'm going to apply whatever the format we've always worked with. I'm going to apply it. I'm going to copy this format painter tooltip. So yeah, so I'm going to copy that format, different countries, revenue. Let's change this from sum of revenue. Let's go to the title and call it revenue by country. Title, I would say revenue per country. I feel like we should, yeah, let's do a subtitle as well. This chart shows the revenue generated by the various countries. Now, okay, so we have that. Let's do something else as well. So if I over on this, I want to see revenue by country. I'm having two different revenue on my chart. Why is that? Let's go to data label segment. Something is off with my data label. If I turn it off, turn it back on, I'm seeing it twice. Okay, so I've done the value for the data label. Right, so we may also want to see quantity sold. So let's do something. Let's bring in a um, so over on the date. I want to see the countries for that day. I want to see the product split. So I want to see what products also generated the most revenue or more revenues. So let's copy this, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. So this will be revenue per, let's not do product, let's do age group. Something we know, or let's do gender. Let's use a bar chart and let's do gender instead of country. Let's delete this and do gender. Gender. Okay, so let's adjust this to general. We want to do not effects. We want to do slices. We want males to be let's do this, and let females be, let's create females. Let's add the contrast. We want our I always like my legends being at the top, so I'll go to legend and I want it at the top center. I want to remove the title, so male, female, and I can see. Let's adjust the title for this. It's revenue by gender. Revenue by gender. For subtitle, we can say this chart shows the revenue generated by various customer genders. Gender. Yeah, so that's that. I feel like, yeah, I made a mistake here to gender. Revenue. Okay, so we have this. I feel like we should add one more thing. What else would I want to see? What else would I want to see? What else would I want to see? Let's bring in a card. Let's bring in a card. So in the card, I want to see total revenue, which we most likely already know, but still want to see total revenue in that card. And call it total revenue. Total revenue. Total revenue in millions. Let's see. Let's click on that field and we want it to be dollars. Total revenue $1,000,000. So let's filter this a bit. Let's adjust this a bit. I feel like it's too big. Let's make it 35. I want the category label to be the color we've always worked with, so total revenue. I feel like this is fine. Let's Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Let's do another one for average revenue. This is average revenue. We go to we adjust this to show average, and we're going to call it average revenue. Average revenue. What else can we add? Let's do number of quantity sold. So we have so let's do quantity sold. Let's drag quantity sold into here, and we just call it quantity sold. Okay, so yeah, so we have this, and remember our first step was when we created this page. On the page itself, we went to format it and went to page information, and we specified that we wanted to use this page as tooltip or as a tooltip. Now, and we added elements to the page. As for slices, I'm gonna make this something lighter. Yeah, okay, great. So now we go back to where we want to apply the tooltip. Remember, we're working with this, and we had these tooltips here before, revenue generator, but I want to remove that tooltip. So I'm going to go to my tooltip. I'm going to click on this visual itself. I'm going to go to general, and under tooltips, you can see I can actually turn tooltips on or off. So if I come here now that it's off, nothing actually pops up. But if I turn it on, there's the option to show the type of tooltip I want. I'm going to select the tooltip as a report page, and then I can select the page I want to show as my tooltip. So I have the page I named tooltip here. That's it. So I want to use that page as my tooltip. And so that's my tooltip. So if I come back to my charts and I over, for example, I can see details for that day. So on this day, our total revenue was 292,000. Our average, so we made a mistake. I did not change this to average revenue. It should be average revenue. Should be average revenue. Average revenue. So yeah, so back to our dashboard. If I over on any point, I can see on this day we made 412,000. Our average revenue was 1,430, and we sold 3,859. And then I can actually see the spread. So this 400,000 that we said, this 412,000, I can see we made 104,000 in Australia, 104,000 in US, 18,000 in Canada, and for different days I can see that value change. So for different days I can see the value change, and we can see what we've made for different days. I mean, see the females buy more things. I mean, obviously than the males. The males actually buy more things than females from this. Okay, so not so obviously. So that's basically how to create tooltips in Power BI, either using your text tooltips or using a page as a tooltip. So at this point, we've looked at a lot of ways to come up with visualizations, and at this point, I'm almost certain that you'll be very comfortable creating visualizations on your own. So what you can do to improve is search for data sets on your own, try to create visuals, put your visuals out there, ask for feedback, make improvements, and I'm sure you get better. In the coming videos, we're going to walk through a project together. We're going to start from a project and do proper analysis in that project together, and then we move over to the portfolio project where you'll be solving it on your own. So stay tuned for that session where we'll be doing projects together. See you in the next video. Thank you.